सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावदितमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। वक्तुं सुबोध वेदान्तं प्रवृतो ह्यबुधोऽप्यहम् कृपया यस्य तं वन्दे श्रीगणेशं पुनः पुनः। वन्दे सरस्वतीं देवीं सद्गुरुं मे महामतिं सीता समेत श्रीरामं यच्छन्तु शुभदां मतिम्।
Mukti prakaraha, types of liberation. Shrunu mukti prakaram tvam yata proktam vichintakaihi. Shrunu mukti prakaram tvam yata proktam vichintakaihi. Karma pasana praptavyaha svargo lokascha brahmanaha. कर्मापासन प्राप्तव्यः स्वर्गो लोकश्च ब्रह्मणः. Now listen to the types of liberation as told by wise people. Heaven and the abode of Brahmaji, Brahmaloka, is gained through actions, karma, and worship, upasana, respectively. प्रसादात् स्वेष्टदेवस्य लोकोऽयं च समीपता. प्रसादात् स्वेष्टदेवस्य लोकोऽयं च समीपता. सारूप्यं सारिष्टं सायुज्यं मुक्तिं प्राहुर्मनीषिणः. सारूप्यं सारिष्टं सायुज्यं मुक्तिं प्राहुर्मनीषिणः. By the blessings of one's beloved form of God, one can attain either of four types of liberation. A. Going to the abode of God, Salokya. B. Attaining closeness to Him, Samapya. C. Attaining His form, Sarupya. And D. Attaining His powers, Satya, or in Him. This, according to some wise men, is liberation. हित्वा स्वजीवभावं या ब्रह्मात्मना हि संस्थितिः. हित्वा स्वजीवभावं या ब्रह्मात्मना हि संस्थितिः. जीवन्मुक्तिर्विदेहाश्च सर्ववेदान्तनिश्चयः. जीवन्मुक्तिर्विदेहाश्च sarvavedanta-nishchayah. Having renounced the notion of one's own individuality, the state of oneness between the self and the ultimate reality is called liberation while living, Jivan Mukti, and also liberation without a body, Videka Mukti. This is the firm position of all Vedantic teachings.
So if we see there, it says that there are, he's going to tell about different types of moksha. So mukti, the word mukti is there. Mukti is also synonymous with the word moksha. And there are different types of moksha which are given. And, accordingly, then many of your answers, nearly all your answers can fit our concept of liberation, because there's quite a few definitions of this word, moksha or mukti. One set of definitions of what this moksha is it's connected really. There's really, it just comes down to two aspects. There is one form of moksha which does not have knowledge, and there is one form of moksha which has knowledge. That's it. Yeah. Then into that group that does not have knowledge, there are multiple definitions. Okay. So if we just look at it, moksha means freedom. But that can be freedom with knowledge, freedom without knowledge. Yeah. So that's the two broad categories. Either a person has, when I say knowledge, doesn't mean they're an academic and they've gone to a university and studied a degree. That doesn't mean knowledge. Knowledge here means knowing that I am the Atma and that Atma is Brahman. Yeah. Jiva Brahma Aikyam, or Atma Brahma Aikyam, the oneness of the self and Brahman. What we call Aham Brahmasmi, I am infinite. Yeah. This is called knowledge. Nothing else is called knowledge. Doesn't matter how educated you are, doesn't matter how much Sanskrit grammar you've studied, doesn't matter how many scriptures you've memorized or can chant. None of that's called knowledge. Knowledge is only knowing that I am the Atma and that Atma is infinite. That's called knowledge. So with that knowledge, there's one type of freedom. And without that knowledge, there are actually four types of freedom, four types of mukti. Okay. So in Vedanta, classically, we keep talking about the one with knowledge. Yeah. But when you read other scriptures, such as Bhakti Shastras, especially Bhakti Shastras, and even Itihas Purana stories, in that you will hear, this person got moksha. And you wonder, what, this person is such a terrible person. Ravana got moksha. He was killed by Sri Ram. Wow. There's a Putana got moksha because she was killed by Sri Krishna. And in between you ask, you say, but there was no satsang, they did not attend any classes, or Tattvamasi did not take place, none of that. They had no knowledge whatsoever. But scriptures has written they got moksha. So that becomes a very peculiar point if we only understand moksha with knowledge, because so many people are gaining moksha without knowledge. So this moksha without knowledge, it is based on what is its, how do you get that type of moksha? It is based on your karma, rituals, and upasana. Upasana means your japa. Yeah, it means consistently thinking of God. That is called upasana. It's not called meditation. I'm not going to call it meditation, okay? Meditation is different, meditation with knowledge. So when a person consistently thinks of God, whether they're doing japa, smaranam, katha, or shravanam, all this type of thing, they call upasana. Consistent flow of thought towards God. Now in this aspect, this connection with God, one of the differences is, what is the difference between the two? One is with knowledge, one is without knowledge. The one without knowledge, it maintains duality. Me and God are different. Me and God are different. So it maintains duality. In moksha with knowledge, there is no duality. Atma is Brahman. Atma is Brahman. So one has got duality, one does not have duality. Yeah? The one that has duality does not have knowledge. The one that does not have duality has got knowledge. The one which has duality is earned by rituals and upasana. Karma, upasana, praptavyaha. It is gained by karma and upasana. Yeah. So in this, you will find that person doesn't need to do studying and go to a guru and do all these type of things and do Vedanta, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana may not be there for that person. They just keep thinking of God. And even many great bhaktas are there. Sometimes when we read the stories, I said that bhakta got some sort of mukti. That bhakta, if he did not have any knowledge, then he will get this mukti which has got duality. Now the big question is, why should I even bother going for the one with knowledge? May as well just go for the one with duality. It sounds a bit easier, you know. Karma upasana said this jnanam is a bit too much, all this studying and meditation, and yes, everyone is nodding their head. Jnanam is too much, yeah. So you're all in agreement. Why go for that? Because the big difference, can anyone say what the big difference? You can put your electronic hand up. The big difference between moksha with knowledge and moksha without knowledge is a big difference. What do you think it is? No one. Okay, Sanjay. Yeah.
Hari Om Swami. I think moksha with knowledge. I think there is no vasanas accumulating, Swamiji. Is that and moksha without the other means where you said that
Words without knowledge.
Moksha without knowledge is with knowledge is now and here, whereas moksha with bhakti is like at the end of the you go to Brahmaloka, and then after that, from there at the end of the kalpa you attain the mukti.
Okay, that's one way of looking at it. A very simple way. Moksha with knowledge is permanent. Moksha without knowledge is not permanent. Okay? So all these forms of moksha which are gained via karma and upasana, they are not permanent. That's why when we read in the Puranas, we read people that have already attained great positions, but they fall. They fall. The classic example is Jay and Vijay. Jay and Vijay live in Vaikunt. Living in Vaikunt, they have a form of moksha, which is called Salokya. Salokya means living in the same world as God, Vishnu. So Vishnu resides in Vaikunt. They live there. But because of their behavior, they got cursed and had to leave. And that Jay and Vijay only are born as Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, Kumbhakarna, and then Shishupal, Dantavakra. That is why the Ravana eventually gets moksha, because actually he's just returning back to his Salokya Mukti. He's going back to the Loka. Because his curse was only 3 births. 3 births you have to go, then you come back. Yeah. But when we read the Puranas, we see many stories of people who have forms of moksha without knowledge, but they fall. They fall. And if we read in the Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads, we read chapter 8. In chapter 8 of the Bhagavad Gita, you can look at verse 16. Abram abhuvanan lokaha punararvarti nojuna. Those people who go to different worlds, including all the way up to Brahmaloka. He said, Arjuna, they return. They come back. They all come back. Avartinaha, avartanam, to return. Samavartanam. Yeah, they come back. That means they enter back into the cycle of samsara. So, going to various worlds. Now, what is called as Brahma Loka, world of Brahman, is the same as Vaikunt for the Vaishnava. It is the same as Saket for those who worship Ramchandraji. It is the same as Kailash for those who are Shaivites. It's the same world. It is dressed up differently because of the addition Ifta Devata. But you are achieving the same world. You are achieving the same world. But depending upon who you have taken as your Ishtadeva, it will look in that way. The God will have that form. Yeah, it depends on. So if you're Krishna Bhakta, you go to Gokul. Yeah, not Gokul here on earth. There's a place called Gokul. It's the same as Brahmaloka. Yeah, you go Shiva Bhakta, Kailash. Each deity has got his own abode called Dhamma. And for the Upasaka, the one who is constantly thinking of that form of God, they can end up in that place. But your stay in that place is not permanent. You come back out. It's like visa to a very fancy country. Nice resort. You get that visa, but visa not permanent. You are not permanent resident. Only get visa. Everyone is on temporary visas. Everyone. No one has got permanent residence in any of these lokas. No one gets permanent residence. Okay? So this is the difference between the two. However, you must understand, compared to earthly existence, some of these lokas are so fantastic that people are just happy going to them. Some of us are happy just like now we've been locked down in our house for so long, just going to the park and the supermarket and the shopping center is kind of a swarga for us, isn't it? For some of us to go back to Chadstone, to go back to Doncaster, Westfield Shopping Center, that has become swarga. And for 2 hours, we go walk around the shops and we feel we are in swarga. Why? Because we've been sitting in our house the whole day looking at 4 people. So our current loka is very small. Therefore, we just go somewhere else, big breath of fresh air. Now, living on earth, there are many problems. Biggest problem we have is this hunger and thirst. And if you go to Swarga, you don't have to deal with this hunger and thirst. Swarga and above, you don't need to worry about it. It's not there. That means when you eat, it is purely out of bhojan. It's just for fun. It's not out of necessity. And then you don't get fat and all these type of things. You don't have cholesterol problems and blood pressure and all that. You just eat whatever you want. Divya Bhoga. It's a nice place if you think about it. So if someone was to tell you that today being Diwali, you can now go to this Swarga and eat all the sweets you want and you will not put on 1 ounce of fat and your blood pressure, cholesterol and sugar will not change 1 bit. Wouldn't that not be a Swarga for us? We would not. So we would say, yes, this is definitely worth going to. So these lokas have got these special type of advantages compared to earth. However, compared to absolute moksha, moksha with knowledge, they're all temporary. They're all temporary. So you go there, but you have to come out. Yeah. And so that's the difference between these two. Yeah. Now, in these different mokshas, that has no knowledge, there are 4 types of things that can happen. There are 4 types of moksha. So moksha without knowledge got 4 classifications. One is called salokya, which I just explained. You go to the world of your specific Ishta Devata, the Devata you've been thinking of. So you must have a Devata, an Ishta Devata to do this. If you don't have Ishta Devata, you won't get this. Yeah. Somebody you must have chosen in your heart, some form of God. And then according to that form of God, you'll end up in their abode. That's called Salokya. So you get visitor's visa and you go. Yeah. Now visitor's visa, you can enter into Salokya. Some get Samipya. The next one is Samipya. Samipya means close. That means you become close to God. I mean, physically, you get access to special privileges which other people can't. So other people come as tourists, they come to see, Buckingham Palace from the outside and all that, but you get VIP. VIP pass means you go meet the Queen or something like that. So you can go meet the Queen. Yeah, that's called Samipya. Yeah, that's why even in these moksha, some of them you just get there, but you don't get to see Bhagavan. He's sitting at a distance on a podium. Yeah, and you have what's called general pass. General pass, general admission. It's not that wonderful. It's okay, but your road number is ZZZ. That's where you're sitting. So many bhaktas in front of you. Now Samipya is VIP pass. VIP pass, go backstage. Go backstage. Yeah, and you get to meet him. So that's the second one. You have to do more upasana. As the mukti becomes more, as you get closer to God, more and more upasana must be done. Yeah. Next one, sarupya. Sarupya means you can have the form of God. You can look like God. Huh? That means VIP pass, he takes you backstage and you get to use his hairdresser, his makeup stylist, you get to wear his clothes, all these things. Now you get to try on all his outfits that he wears for the show. You get to wear them. Yeah. And all of a sudden you start looking like him. Yeah. So sarupya, you take the form of God. You look like him. In the story of Ajamil in Bhagavatam, there's a man there and he's about to die. And as he's about to die, he chants Narayana, Narayana. Yeah. Now, generally, when we're about to die, then Yamaraj, Lord Death, and his messengers come and take us. They call Yamadutas. But because he'd been chanting Narayana, Narayana, actually Vishnu Dutas came, the messengers of Vishnu. Those messengers of Vishnu look like Vishnu. They have sarupya. So when they came, they actually looked Karitinam, Gadinam, Chakranam, they look like Bhagavan. They had the golden crown, blue skin, Chatur Bhuja, Narayana. They looked exactly like him. But they were not him, but they had his form. They had his form. Yeah. So this happens even in the world. When people love a certain person so much, they start imitating, they buy what they wear, isn't it? They end up buying whatever clothes that person buys, and the children get the haircut of that person, and then sometimes the sunglasses of that person. We want to buy something of that person. Like if you like some tennis player or sports star, you go buy all his apparel. It doesn't mean you can play like him. You are still playing like you only, but you look like him. So you look like him, but you play like you only. Huh? So that is called sarupya. Sarupya. You can buy Sachin Tendulkar's bat, but doesn't mean you become Sachin Tendulkar. Okay, you can buy it, but you don't get his powers. Okay, so now that is third type of moksha. The next one is called sarshti or sayujyam. Sarshti means you get his powers. You get the powers of God. So this is a very, very intense. This person has done lots of upasana. This person is the highest level of upasana possible. If you're getting sarshti and sayujyam, a high level. Now, when you get the powers of God, God has certain powerful powers. You know, he can all of a sudden manifest in a certain place. Like when we hear with Hanumanji having those ashta siddhis. These type of ashta siddhis you can get. You can become extremely big. Yeah, Mahima. Extremely small. Anima. Extremely heavy. Garima. Which some people don't want. Then you're extremely light. Lagima. Some people want that. You want to be very light. Jump on the scale and don't weigh anything. Yeah. Then prakasha, prapti. Vashitvam, ishitvam. Control. You can control other people's minds. Yeah. Vashitvam. You can rule over people. Ishitvam. Yeah. Prapti prakamya. You can attain things just like clicking your finger, they come. They come to you. Yeah. And you can appear in different places instantaneously. Yeah. Ashta siddhis are there. Yeah. This is what happens when you do this type of upasana. You can get these type of siddhis. So these are very high level siddhis that are there. Okay. But there's two siddhis you cannot get, and that is you cannot have the power to create the world, and you do not have the power to destroy the world. That remains only with Ishvara. He does not give them out. Those powers are not given. They have presidential powers not given to anyone else. That's called the nuclear launch codes. You cannot have them. So he keeps them. So the power to create and destroy the world, you don't get. But you get every other power you can get from God. It's called sarshti or sayujyam. Now, these four types of mokshas, yeah, none of them involve knowledge. You don't need to study any Vedanta. You don't need to know Atma Brahman. You don't need to know Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi. Not required. But you have to be thinking of God a lot. And you have to love God a lot. Not casually. Not casually in between meals, in between distractions, in between TV programs, say Ram Ram. That would not be enough. These people are sitting for 10,000s of years. You see in the Puranas, they sit for thousands of years. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, standing on one leg, all this type of stuff they're doing, Ugra Tapas. This type of upasana, you can get these type of results. All of these results, mokshas, are temporary. You don't keep them. Yeah. Salokya, we say visitors past, get pushed out. Samipya, VIP, one event only. You can't sit there for all the time VIP. So then after that, also gone. Sarupya, period of time you get. And Sayujya, even that you get the powers of Bhagavan for a period of time. Then sometimes it will go for the entire cycle of that creation, the kalpa. Then at the end of that kalpa, you lose it and you get reborn again in different places to earn it all again. Work again. So it's like going on holiday resort. You go on holiday resort, get to enjoy everything. People waiting on you, food delivered to you, beautiful vistas, all that type of stuff. But you cannot stay there forever. You also have to leave. As much money you have, that's how long. Then once the money runs out, kshine punye, martilokam vishanti. You come back to earth and they come back and earn. That's how these muktis work. These muktis are not discussed in Vedanta Shastra because this is not the muktis that we are interested in Vedanta. Okay? But these muktis will be indicated in Bhakti Shastras, Puranas, Itihasas. You will hear these. So some confusion can be there when we hear this word mukti or moksha. Now, what is the nature of moksha as per Vedanta? That comes in verse 32. Hitva swajiva bhavam ya brahmatmana hi samstitihi. Having given up jiva bhava and abiding in the notion that I am Brahman, infinite. This is called Kaivalyam. It's also called Kaivalyam, but this is the moksha with knowledge. This moksha is permanent. From this, punarjanma navidyate. There is no return, Okay? So this is what Vedanta talks about. If you do this one, job is over. There's no coming back. Yeah, no coming back. It's finished. So this person never born again. Never born again. Yeah. No vasanas coming back. There is no way. And sometimes we read these poetic descriptions of great saints and they are there where they say, oh, in their previous birth, they decided, they were already realized and they decided for the sake of humanity, they will come back. They'll come. These are all poetic descriptions. They're incorrect. They do not come back. Such people do not come back. Okay. So sometimes we read these things. This is just poetry to make us feel good. If the person has already attained moksha, he cannot come back. He cannot come. Only Ishvara can come. That Ishvara is called avatar. Then that saint should be called Ishvara only. Should not be known as some previous jiva who got moksha. Yeah. But just devotees sometimes get a little bit, fascinated with this. And so they think that this person, saint, who got moksha in the last birth now has come back in another form. Because they might have some personal connection with that. It's not really. Ishvara only is coming. If that person is born realized, it is Ishvara. And it says only two people were born such way, Vamadev, Shukadev. That's it. So really, there's no one. Yeah. Everyone that is born as a great saint, they were born with some little vasana. They were born as a jiva. And then quickly they may have got to their Kaivalya moksha. But they were born as a jiva only. Yeah. Now this is how you have to understand it. Otherwise, be a lot of inconsistencies. Vedanta will not make any sense because if through Vedanta they got moksha, then born again to go teach the world, then they have to return, start ashrams and do fundraising and teach all these people on Zoom. There's too much of a hassle. The poor man got troubled too much. So it doesn't sound like it's a good idea. It sounds like you never get moksha. Yeah, technology keeps changing. I have to keep updating his Zoom account. This is too much of a headache. So the reality is, anyone that comes to earth that is realized is Ishvara only manifesting. But nearly all saints and sages that we know of in popular literature and recent history, they are not realized at the time of birth. They gain realization through their life. They gain realization. Then when they gain realization, they don't come back. Sometimes they write nice things saying, I am waiting for you, I will come back for you. These are just nice things to keep Bhakta happy. It's not true, actually. I'm sorry. Yeah, in the reality of it, it's not true. And they don't come into your dreams and all these type of things. They're not coming into your dreams. You are just having a dream of them. Because again, if you've gained moksha, now some person thinks of you and you get sucked into somebody's dream. What a nightmare that would be for that person. Yeah, anyone thinking of you, you now have to leave your moksha and come down and sit in their dream. What wonderful things they dream of. So for that jiva, they're not coming back. These are just poetic sentiments for the sake of the devotee. Okay. Now in this moksha, what is happening? The person is breaking all concepts of individuality. Jiva means a concept of individuality. Now when you break a concept of individuality, that means I am no longer an individual that exists in time and space. If I don't exist in time and space, that means I cannot travel here or there. Correct? If I don't exist in time and space, I cannot go anywhere. So when you give up completely sense of individuality, jivatvam, then you are no longer existing in time and space. If you don't exist in time and space, you cannot go anywhere. Hence, this person who has got kaivalyam does not go anywhere, does not go to different worlds, does not go and visit here or there. That person is liberated here and now. Here and now itself, all shackles are gone. And here and now, they do not define themselves in any way as this entity. They never feel they are that entity. They are living with the conviction that I am Brahman. There is not a single thought that makes them believe I am this body. This type of moksha, where the person has got knowledge, is completely rooted in the conviction I am infinite. But still, a body is hanging around. The body is still hanging around. The body has not gone anywhere, still here. Such a person is called Jivan Muktaha. Muktaha means liberated. Jivan, while living. Who is living? Body is living. While the body is living, they have already gained moksha. Now, question might be, why does that body remain? The body remains because the body has got a few residual karmas that it has to exhaust. It's like this. When a fan is there, you know the fan, and you turn it off. When you turn the fan off, the power is cut. There is no more power to it. But it doesn't just stop. Momentum, it keeps going. Now, if the fan was on 5, the highest, it would take a long time to stop. If the fan was on 1, few rotations, done. When a person gets this Jivan Mukti, liberation here and now, it depends on what their fan was on. If their fan was on very high, they will stay around for a lot longer. If their fan was on very low, then they will quickly end that life itself, that janma will end. And we've seen that different saints have lived different periods of time, all taken moksha. Swami Vivekananda, 39 years old. Huh? We have Sant Jnaneshwar, 21. I think 21. Shankaracharya, 32. Those are very young. Very young. But then we have Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharishi, 70 plus. Gurudev, 77. Goswami Tulsidas, 120 years old. So some have lived a long period of time because their fans were going a bit higher. So then they kept staying around. One thing is, the minute you get moksha, it does not matter what happens to this body, whether this body goes for another 50 years or 20 years or 2 days. It makes no difference. Moksha has been gained. The job is done. Game is over. It's finished. You don't have to worry, will it be fed? Will it not be fed? Do I have to get a job? Do I not have to get a job? You don't need to worry. Why? God takes care of that body after that. It says, Ishvara then says, I will take care of this body. And according to its karmas, it will get, Ishvara will make sure it's supposed to get its karmas. So if that body is supposed to be fed, it will be fed. If that body is not supposed to be fed, it will not be fed. But the person is already gone. They're not there. They're already liberated. So they are enjoying Brahmananda. They are living in bliss, actually. They are living in an ocean of bliss. It's just this Sharira Yatra, journey of the body, just continues on for a little bit more. And we can never predict how this jiva is going to live. Not jiva, sorry. This jivan mukta. We can never ever understand the life of a jivan mukta. Therefore, you'll have some liberated souls who get very involved in rigorous activity, such as our Gurudev, missionary work, Loka Sangram. You'll have some that will retire to caves and you'll never hear about them. You'll never know. So some will completely withdraw, others will completely explore. This, we have no idea how and why this takes place. It is purely just the will of God and that body's residual karmas. Based on their residual karmas, something had to be done. So generally they say, based on that type of karma or life that person had, when they get moksha, those type of karmas will remain. And that's what will have to be exhausted. So if you look at Gurudev, even Gurudev prior to gaining into the path of moksha and sannyas, he was a freedom fighter, always working for upliftment of society. So even after gaining moksha, it is no surprise that he would create ashrams and do lots of missionary work. Where you see the life of Tapovanji Maharaj, he already withdrew from the age of, he never got involved in anything actually throughout his whole life. So he withdrew, and even after moksha, he remained withdrawn. He just made his way to the Himalayas, and that's it. He never left. Sri Ramana Maharishi is the same. Prior to moksha, no interest in anything. After moksha, also just sat. He just sat on the hill. An ashram grew around him, but he just sat there. So it's very hard to predict what they're going to be like. It would depend upon what the previous karmas are like. The bottom line is, once you get this jivan mukti, is done. You are reveling in bliss. Don't ask the question, what to do next? What do I do now that I have moksha? Now that I got moksha, I don't know how to fill my day. Don't ask this question. Some people do ask this question, what do we do if we get moksha? First get moksha, then we'll deal with that question after that. Yeah, that's the standard response. Now, what happens after they live and their karmas run out, the fan stops? Then it's called Videha Mukti. The body drops. They are anyway merged, but now there's no body also. Yeah? And that's it. That is it. Finished. You stay as that. You know, it is like, say there is space. You have a house. In that house, you have your different room spaces. So you have master bedroom, small bedroom, study, dining room. Yeah? Now, while bound, that means the space inside the room thinks I only occupy this much. Yeah. Now that space gains knowledge. What is the knowledge the space gets? The space gets the knowledge, actually, I am infinite. I am not conditioned or bound by these walls. Isn't it? Space is not conditioned by the walls. Space is in and through the wall. So the outer space and the inner space are one and the same. That space, the bedroom space, gets that knowledge. I am one with Mahakasha. Now, when he gets that knowledge, I am one with Mahakasha. Now, if the walls remain up, even while the walls remain up, isn't that space infinite? Even while the walls are there, the space is still infinite. Then after some time, the house falls apart and they demolish it, the walls go down. Then one. That's the thing. So the minute that space gets the knowledge, I am infinite, that is called Jivan Mukti. Then when the walls fall down, Videha Mukti. Yeah, but there's no difference. For the experience of the individual, there's no difference. For the experience of that person who's gained moksha, there's no difference. There's no difference. It's the same thing going on. Yeah, no difference. And so these are the different types. So you must understand now, under moksha without knowledge, 4 types. And under moksha with knowledge, 2 types. Okay, so these are the 6 different types of mokshas which are discussed. Vedanta and all our scriptures generally only focus on moksha with knowledge. We don't focus on the other one because it involves coming back again. Yeah, rebirth. Now, this is the highest level. This is how we discuss moksha. But of course, you talked about definitions of being free from samsara and worldly problems and troubles and things like that, to get respite and all that. So you can, like, if you feel that for you, this is what you want, you just want to break relief or know how to deal with your daily, duties, you can call that your form of moksha. Yeah, but of course it will not be absolute moksha. It's not going to be Jivan Mukti or Videha Mukti. But if it helps you focus and get motivated to work harder at your sadhana, to improve your spiritual practices, then take it at that level. If the final moksha, Jivan Mukti, is too abstract, and Videha Mukti don't understand at all, if these are too abstract, you don't need to set them as your goal. You can set something closer. But you should know that these are just short-term goals. Your long-term goal should be moksha. So now you can, in your own language, define moksha for yourself and work for it. Because we already know when it comes down to moksha without knowledge, all of them are going to have repeat cycle. So you can also define. So one definition, you may not be interested in going to Salokya, Sarupya, Samipya and things like that. But samatvam, having constant poise of mind, you might call that your moksha. Being free from raga and dvesha, strong likes and dislikes, you might call that your moksha. Being free from a particular emotion, such as fear, anger, jealousy, you might call that your moksha. And if that motivates you, keep that definition. Keep that definition. And then once you get to that level, you realize, no, now I want to go even more. So I'm free of anxiety, but I want to be free of anger. Now I'm free of anger, I want to be free of jealousy. Now I'm free of jealousy, I want to be free of something else, hatred or something. You can use it. So you keep working at these. So samatvam yoga uchyate, Bhagavan says, poise of mind. This is yoga. You can take that. Chitta Shuddhi, purity of mind you can take. There are so many different things you can choose so that you have a goal that motivates you each and every day. Yeah. So have a spiritual goal that motivates you And sometimes you have to take that very long-term goal and make it a bit more immediate, short-term. Yeah? You can. And if that helps you, use it. Of course, from clear understanding, you know long-term goal is moksha. The only one that you have no return from is going to be the Jivan Mukti. Well, it's fine. Use whatever helps you. Use whatever helps you. That's the key, okay? So in our discussion about moksha, it's good you have discussed, and I'm glad that the points came up and you did come up with a variety of answers. Each person now should define moksha in their own language and relevance. Yeah? So that's something you should do as a sadhana. You define moksha in your own language according to relevance to your life. That means it should motivate you. It should inspire you. You should feel connected to it. You should feel driven to achieve it. Do that. Do that. Yeah? And then we'll see how that goes. Now, this topic here, mukti, is right now. The next topic is, what is the nature of that person who got jivan mukti? For the person who's attained jivan mukti, what is their nature? What is their experience of life? That comes next. We're coming towards the end of the text. I think within 2 weeks, this text will be over. Yeah? So, this is the next one. Next part, very nice. This is going to be reveling in Brahmananda. What is reveling in Brahmananda like? That will come up next. Most beautiful portion, okay? Okay, we'll close for today. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om.